Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. I want to thank you so much for being here this morning. I would love for you to say hi to me in the comments and tell me where you're tuning in from. I am Christy Varner, and I am here in the Dallas area, and just so happy to have you guys tuning in today. A little bit about myself. As I said, I'm Christy Varner, and I am a virtual CFO and profitability and growth strategist for businesses. So what that really means in real language is that I understand numbers, and I want you to understand those numbers too. So I help entrepreneurs and small business owners understand their numbers and utilize those numbers to design and implement strategies to build sustainable, profitable businesses. So it's an exciting thing. I love strategy. I love looking at where you are and helping you get where you want to go. But first things first, we got to understand what those numbers are. And I like to explain things in simple words and analogies, because who needs all the many acronyms? We can just use simple words and I'll figure this out, because you are a go-getter. You are a business owner who started your dream to own a business, and I'm cheering you on personally and professionally. So that is a little bit about me, but I would love to hear about you. So please drop in the comments what kind of business you're in and how long you've been in business. I would love to know that. This is a community to get to know other people better, and so we can support each other. I am streaming live today in my private Facebook group called Small Business Finance Simplified. If you're not in it, I would love for you to join. We are also on YouTube and on Facebook on my page. So thank you so much for joining. Let's talk today about 1099s. So for those of you who are international, you can just tune out. I know I'll have a lot of viewers who are international, and you are glad to know this is a US IRS thing. So this does not apply to you. But for all of my US small business owners, this does apply, and the deadline is coming up. So I want to explain this to you. There's no reason to get overwhelmed. I'm going to explain this in very simple words. And by the end of this, hopefully about 20 minutes, you're going to be like, okay, I've got it. And you have a plan and you're ready to go. So first of all, let's talk about what is a 1099. So a 1099 is a report that the government requires, the IRS requires, that you provide to service providers that your business paid during the year. And these are service providers who aren't your employees, so not your W-2 employees. So for a lot of you smaller entrepreneurs and small business owners, myself included, we pay a lot of providers for services. So that could be people you pay for your web design. It could be your accountant, your lawyer, a marketing person, your VA. All of these are not employees. So an employee is your W-2 employee, and the government already gets their money from them. But these are people who are not your employees, but provide services to you, not goods, but services. Okay, so that's the general of what the Form 1099 is. Now you may say, why does the IRS care? Why are we doing this? So the reason that they care is because they're just trying to make sure that everybody is paying their fair share of taxes. So they are going to say that you, like, say you paid your accountant $2,000 this year. So you paid your accountant $2,000. And so you report that by giving a 1099 to your accountant and also to the IRS. A copy goes to both, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so you give a copy to both of them. And then when your accountant reports their income for the year, they're going to report that same $2,000 that you paid them. And what the IRS is doing is making sure they're matching up that 1099 against your accountant's reported income. So does that make sense? So that's why they're doing it. And so it can kind of seem like a pain to you because you have to report all the people that you paid to. But the good news is there are some exclusions. So you don't have to report every single payment. There are steps, and we're just going to go through those simple steps so that you'll know who you need to give it to. So just as a reminder, this goes to both your service provider and to the pardon me, and to the IRS, but also to some states. Actually, to most states require that you give a copy to them. So there are a few states that don't. Here are the states that don't require a 1099. And it's also a 1096 if it's all combined, but that's just another thing. But anyway, so you're going to give copies to the service provider, to the IRS, and to most states. So many of you are thinking, okay, I already know, Christy, I already know about the 1099s because I've been in business for a while. Well, I want you to know there are big changes this year. And so in the past, most, sorry, I've got a hair stuck on me. Most people have, we've been issuing 1099 miscellaneous to most people. And we're going to talk about 1099 miscellaneous a little bit later on because 1099 is still applicable, but it's completely changed. So where you used to report in box 7 of 1099 miscellaneous, there's a new form called the 1099 NEC, which stands for non-employee compensation. So, you know, that makes sense, right? So for most of the services that you used to report on 1099 miscellaneous, you are now going to report on the 1099 NEC. Okay, so let's talk about who you need to prepare a 1099 NEC for. I am going to give you 3 criteria in order. So if you are a pen and paper person, you might want to write these down or go back and review it. Or I have another little thing that I'll share with you at the end for you visual learners. But these are the 3 criteria that you use to evaluate who you owe a 1099 to. So the first is, did you pay that vendor more than $600 during the year? So if you paid them $500 during the year, you don't need to prepare a 1099 for them. So already right away, that eliminates probably several of your vendors. However, it's cumulative for the year. So if you paid them $500, you know, last March, and then another $200 in December, the total of that is $700, and that is more than the $600 for the year. So it's a cumulative amount for the year. So hope that makes sense. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how you paid them. Okay, so for the ones that you paid more than $600, now we want to talk about how you paid them. So the ones that qualify for 1099s are ones that you paid from your business via cash, check, ACH, or wire. So if you paid them via credit card or PayPal, I'm assuming you use the business PayPal, not friends and family. If you paid via credit card or PayPal, those payments are excluded from you needing to report via 1099. Now you may be saying, why is that? Because, you know, in my example about, you know, the accountant needs to report the $2,000 you paid them. It's because the credit card company themselves has to do their own 1099 tracking. So that gets taken care of. So you don't have to worry. The IRS is still all over making sure everybody's reporting their income. It's just that that responsibility does not lie with you as someone who paid for those services. So the second criteria, so the first criteria is, have you paid them more than $600 during the year? If you have, you move on to the second criteria. The second criteria is, how did I pay them? Did I pay them with cash, check, wire, or ACH? And if the answer is yes, then you still need to evaluate for giving them a W-9. So let's move on. Okay, if you guys are finding this helpful, I would love for you to share this with your friends. So just want you to know that I do these trainings every week on Thursdays at 10 a.m. live, and you can always come back and watch them on replay. I know a lot of you will be watching on replay, although I see some of you are on live today, which I love that. That's so fun. And I'm going to, sorry, I should look over to see if there are, I'm looking on my phone where I have it pulled up so that if you have questions, I can see. Sorry. And I'm going to, sorry, I should look over. Okay, Hey, hey, Tony and Tracy, it's good to see you. Okay, so anyway, so now we've got those two criteria. Here's the third criteria. The third criteria is if you paid a vendor who is an S Corp or a C Corp, they do not qualify for having to receive a 1099 from you. Okay, so if they are an S Corp or a C Corp, if their tax is an S Corp or a C Corp, they don't get a 1099 from you. All the other taxing entities do. So, but let me just tell you, there is a quick exclusion here. If you paid a lawyer for legal services, if you paid a law firm for legal services, then skip number 3, because either way, you need to give them a 1099. If you paid them more than $600 and if you paid them via cash check, ACH, or wire. So the exclusion for S Corp and C Corp does not apply to lawyers for their legal services. So you might be saying, great, Christy, how in the world would I know how they're taxed? Because that's the third criteria and it matters. So let me tell you, service providers give you that information on a form called the W-9, and that's another IRS form. I'll put a link in the comments when I finish here so that you can get that. You can also Google it. It's an IRS form, and that form simply says the name of the business or the individual, because some people are just operating as their own individuals. So it says the name of the individual, their mailing address, which you'll need to give them their 1099, and it tells how they're taxed, as well as their EIN. An EIN is basically a social security number for a business. So that's just a little tidbit. So you need to get a W-9. I tell my clients that I strongly suggest that you request a W-9 from people before you ever pay them the first time, because it eliminates this nightmare at the end of the year where you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do 1099s and I don't have this information. So that's just my little side note tidbit to you. Just get in the habit of every single time you're about to pay someone, you request a W-9 from them. If they don't know what that is, then just send it to them and they'll fill it out and send it right back to you, and then you'll have it on file and you will know. So that form is going to tell you how they're taxed. Like I said, if they're an S Corp or a C Corp, then they are now excluded from the 1099. Okay, so, oh, I just told you all that. It tells you all these things. All the info you need for the 1099 is on the W-9. Okay, so now you're wondering how you're going to get these 1099s to people. So the 1099 form is actually a scannable form. So you guys know I'm huge on Google and just downloading things, and you will see PDF pictures of the 1099 everywhere. You cannot, this is an odd thing, but you cannot download and just copy a 1099. And that is because it's actually a scannable form that the IRS uses. And so it's not as simple as you would wish for that purpose. So you can request those forms from the IRS. You can also go to your office supply store like Staples, and they'll have boxes of 1099 forms. And you can also file electronically. But these are all due every year by January 31st. This year, that's a Sunday, so we actually have an extra day, so that's Monday, February 1st. So it is too late for this year. If you have not started and you do not have forms, it is too late to order them from the IRS and get them back in time to have your filing be on time. But it is not too late for you to run to Staples or Office Depot or whatever office supply store you have and pick up those forms yourself, and you can run them through your printer. They're a little bit kind of thinner, but you can run them through your printer. There are several copies of each, you know, because I told you have to give one to the recipient, the IRS, the state, and of course keep one for yourself. But you can also e-file, and my favorite way to do this is to e-file. I did these on paper for my clients for years, and E-filing does cost money. You can do e-filing with the IRS also, but it's too late for this year for that. But e-filing through, I personally use tax1099.com. There's also Track 1099 and Yearly. I've heard good things about each of those. It's not super expensive to do those. A lot of your accounting softwares will help you get started with that. If you're using QuickBooks, it will help prompt you on how to get started. But e-filing is just a simple way, and they will send a copy. You can even have them mail it. I have most of my clients do that because honestly, it's just easier than having to do it all yourself. So you can have them mail it and send it to the IRS and all of that. So that's just my personal preference, but you can do it any of those ways. Okay, I want to go back and talk about the 1099 miscellaneous. Because the 1099 miscellaneous that we used to use for most of this, so most of your payments are now going to be on 1099 and EC, but you will still use the 1099 miscellaneous for some things. So the things that are most common, number one, the absolute most common is rent. So if you are paying rent and you've paid more than $600 during the year via cash check, ACH, or wire, and your landlord is not an S Corp or C Corp, then they are going to receive a 1099 miscellaneous from you. Yes, that's right. You are going to give a 1099 miscellaneous to your landlord, and they're going to expect that. And some of them may already have sent you a W-9, in fact, in preparation for that. So if you didn't know that. The other, there's a whole list of reasons that you would do a 1099 miscellaneous, but the most common after the rent, which is the most common, is if you awarded a prize to someone. So say you ran, prizes in your business this past year and you gave somebody $1,000 and they won, then you would give them a 1099 miscellaneous. Also, if you had any legal settlements, remember legal services, your legal services are going to get a 1099 NEC. And we talked about that already. They're the ones that it doesn't matter if they're a C Corp or an S Corp, they get one. This is actual settlements from lawsuits, but also if you paid out royalties for greater than $10. So that exclusion is not $600, but $10 for royalties. So they're pretty serious, I guess, about getting their reporting on royalties. So that is a little bit about that. Okay. For my visual learners, you guys have been doing great in listening, but I know that some of you are more visual learners than audio learners, and I get that because I love to see things. So I wanted to let you know that I actually drew out a decision tree for you that walks you through the same things that I talked about on this video. I tried to make it in Word and I couldn't get it to go exactly how I wanted to, but I laughed about it because my clients are really used to that since I'm all about simplicity. I'm forever using analogies and also using my iPad to draw things out for my clients to sort of illustrate things because I think it's easier to see visually sometimes. So I'm going to show that for you, and it's also in my Facebook. In our Small Business Finance Simplified group, and also on my Instagram, Victory Advisory Services, and on my business Facebook, Victory Advisory Services. But so this is it. So for those of you that are just looking at, like, we're just talking about these exact same things. What did you pay for? If it's products, remember products don't apply because it's just for services. And it just goes through all the different pieces that we talked about. So who you give the 1099s to. Oh, goodness, sorry about that. Oh, goodness. But anyway, so that just goes through all the different pieces that, oh, goodness. Why does this always happen? Sorry, everything is going wrong always. It's always my mouse. Well, I'm just going to keep talking even though you can't see me now. Sorry about that. I don't know what's wrong with this, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so what should I do now? Sorry, this is really making me crazy. Here we go. Okay, sorry about that. You guys, does that just crack you up? Like, done is better than perfect, and I am so not perfect. So anyway, sorry about that. But anyway, so that decision tree hopefully will be helpful for you. And I will post that down in the comments also. So the question now, what should I do now? You need to, it is now January 28th, which is actually my son's 24th birthday. So happy birthday to my son. You need to go ahead and work on this right now, because like I said, it needs to be postmarked by Monday, February 1st of this year. So it's not going to take you a long time. So first things first, just breathe. It's going to be okay. Okay. And you saw, like, this is really not that hard. And if you don't have your accounting system put together, then you can look through your checkbook and your bank statements. So this is doable. So you can either hire a professional, your tax advisor likely does this. Lots of professionals do this. I do this for my clients. I'm willing to help them, but you can also DIY it. That's why I explained all these simple steps to you. I promise that you can do it. So let me just review the steps for you one more time. So first, you're going to review your vendors for the year and determine which you paid $600 or more to for services, not products, but services. Then you're going to look at how you paid them to see if they're eligible for a 1099. You're going to exclude people that you paid via credit card or PayPal. Then if they still qualify, you're going to review their W-9 to determine how they're taxed. You'll eliminate those who are taxed as an S Corp or C Corp unless it's an attorney. And then you're going to complete and issue a W-9, a 1099. So the 1099 is going to go to the recipient and also to the IRS and to the state in most cases. So that is it. It is simple. You can do it. So I'm hoping that this was helpful to you guys today. If it was, please share it with your friends and ask your questions. You can tag me in the comments, so I'm sure to see them. I would love to be there and to help you. And I will be back again next week with more training to help you gain confidence in understanding the number side of your business so that you can achieve your goals. Thanks you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Until next time.